Hi guys, Jay Smith here. Welcome to the AskGolfNut channel. So, I'm not here to basically influence you what brands you should buy. End of the day, buy what you want. If you like a TaylorMade, buy a TaylorMade. If you're a Callaway, buy a Callaway, Titleist, many other brands. Buy what you wish. However, I am here as best I can to inform and educate your choices within those brands, because all brands, all manufacturers make their own version of a whole range of golf clubs, from blades, full-on shiny lovelies, to the super game improvement iron stroke near and off hybrids when it comes to iron choice. And they are distinctly designed for people which have a handicap, a requirement, whether it be through strike forgiveness or effective launch and help in the air for slow swing speeds, that being a lot of the commonality. So doesn't matter what brand you have at all. So hopefully when you go into your custom fitting environments, or at least if it doesn't matter if you're at a shop and you have got a sea of all these lovely golf clubs in front of you, you may know, okay, I want to go for a TaylorMade this, doesn't matter. But you should know what composition you require. So if you're an individual who likes blades, I'm a blade lover. I have played blades for many a year. they just look lovely. Aesthetically, yeah. And there is a certain amount of, do you need to hit the middle with blades all the time? Well, it's advantageous if you do with any golf club, but yeah, I've done a video on that one. I'll pop that one up on the channel. Have a little look at that one. That's quite surprising. But this one here, if you've got an individual who doesn't swing like I do at 92, 93 miles an hour with one of these, a 7-iron, you may not produce the launch characteristics needed to be able to use 5-irons, 4-irons. Heck, I stop at a 5-iron, then go straight to a hybrid, because even I don't produce enough speed at 4-iron to get the ball up in the air high enough for it to go into a green and carry and go into it steep enough so I can control it the other end. Now, I have a magic number, 45 degrees descent angle. In reality, that can go 40 to 45 degrees depending on what ground conditions you're going into. So if it's a really rock hard summer surface green, then you're going to need 45 degrees or more to stop it. Anything normal, 40 degrees is fine. So what we're going to try and do is I'm going to try now and hit a myriad of different golf clubs that you're going to find when it comes to custom fitting and that lot, but I'm going to do it at a slow speed. Why slow speed? Because most of your guys down the lens, you do not swing at 92, 93 miles an hour with a 7-iron. I have found some people, and there's, yeah, that make me look slow when it comes to swinging 7-irons around about the 100 miles an hour or around that mark, and that is impressive. But they're not many. Most of you guys swing at about high 70s, early 80s, coming like that, some kind of speed like that way. So that's what I'm going to try and do. I've got my MP20 blade here. I'm going to hit some shots now, like you would do if you're in a custom fit, and we're going to see how high they go and stuff like that. And then we're going to go into the 6-iron and see what difference it makes, and then we've got other golf clubs to test as well. So this is going to be an interesting one because I've got different types of range of golf clubs. This is a blade. I've got game improvement. I've also got hybrid as well. So let's go hit some shots around about 80 miles an hour and see how we get on when it comes to the numbers after this lot. Right, so there's a bunch of shots hit. I'm going to now flick over to my 6-iron in this. So data set now changed, we have yellow to come. I have got my MP20 6-iron, so MP20 7-iron that I was testing before, 34 degrees, loads of loft. However, this has now got 30 degrees of loft, so we're now taking loft off. Keeping the same speed, is this then going to go peak up high enough, and then more importantly descend steep enough to make it functional? So let's go give it a few hits and see how it performs. Right. That's another load hit. So what we're going to do now, let's go to the PC quickly. Let's look at those two data sets. One with 7-iron, one with 6-iron, 34 degrees then 30 degrees. Look at the difference in peak heights and descent angles and really see if going to a 5-iron at the slower speed is going to be functional or not. Now at the PC, let's go have a look at the data from the last two sets of shots that I've hit, quite a few. Let's go, okay, first of all, you see the ball data on there for the 221, it wasn't 221, it was MP20. When I'm putting data sets in, the MP20 7-iron and a 221 look exactly the same, or are exactly the same, and I just sometimes write, yeah, anyway, my fault. It should be MP20 7-iron, not 221. Doesn't matter, but whenever you see it, 34 degrees anyway. Ball speed 104.9, launching 18.9, total spin 6.2. Peaking height at 26 yards in the air. We are descending at 44 degrees at 144. So 44 degrees is lovely. 44 degrees is within reason going to stop on most, if not all greens, unless you're talking about like concrete ones, but yeah, not many. 44 degrees is lovely to have as a descent angle at 144. I am losing about 20 yards of carry from my standard 93 miles an hour that I swing, but then again, I've seen some people swing at 100 miles an hour and they carry it further than me. There's always a bigger fish. Right, next one, 6-iron, 110 miles an hour, 110.1. So we have gone up 5.2 miles an hour from that, but we will do because of deflection. Loft comes down, you're going to get less deflection, and then obviously increase ball speed. Launching also coming down, though, 16.7 rather than 18.9, and spinning now at 5.2 rather than the 6.2. Again, there's your 1,000 RPM that you think when it comes to that. Again, 1,000 RPM is different depending on what delivery you have, your attack angle, your dynamic loft, your strike point, and your speed. So yeah, you get the idea. Peak and height though, 25 yards in the air and descending at 41.7 degrees at 155. So 155 to 144, there's your about 11 yards or so, which is fine. But 41.7 degrees is okay. But when it comes to doing the data set there, I hit a few at 43, yes I did, but then I also, when you don't quite catch them, they're going into the 30s, into the 39s, and that's dangerously close to not being functional. Not for me being able to control it at the slower speed into a green with it going in lower. Okay, it's 1 yard lower, but it's going more of a flatter flight. So if you look at the ball screen and the flight and club and all that lot screen, you can see there that the yellow is going further. It's going 11 yards further than the red, but it's going a flatter trajectory. And 41.7 degrees is fine, but it's an average, and at even 155 yards, I want to try and get a little bit more extra help if I can. So club head speed, you've got 1.4 miles an hour difference, 80 to 81.4. Why? Because you've got ½ inch extra on the shaft with a 6-iron to a 7. Centrifugal force would dictate goes a little bit further or faster. Dynamic loft 28.6 against 24.4. There is 4 degrees of static loft between these two, so within 0.2 of a degree. I've delivered everything that I should. Everything else within reason is exactly the same, and strike is 1 millimeter out. Nothing. So, right, what I'm going to do, we're going to go back to the hitting area now. Even though 41.7 degrees for the 6-iron is okay, let's see if we can put something else into the mix to see if we can gain some of that well-deserved, well-wanted and well-needed peak heights and descent angle back in. Okay, so we saw from the numbers there that necessarily even a 6-iron won't cut the mustard, too slow. So 7-iron, fine, no problem whatsoever. As soon as you get to a 6-iron, they're getting dangerously close to not getting into that 40 degrees mark. Fine on the good ones, but on the poorer ones it will drop back. So we changed plan a little bit. So rather than keep on barring down the line of blades look lovely, and they do, they don't really give much help when it comes to launch. So let's flick over to something that is designed to help on the launch a little bit. So I've got the JPX 923 hot metal high launch in my hands. Now, yes, it is a completely different looking golf club, and I'm going more to extremes. So the faster you go, generally speaking, when it comes to your changing through irons, if you want to blend through the range, you can go smaller jumps. The slower you are, the bigger the jumps need to be. So you could do blade in pitching wedge 9, 8 iron. Then when it comes to 7-iron, you may have to go into something more like this. And then when you go into 5-iron, you may have to go into something a bit more aggressive, even further. So Let's go hit this a few times. I've changed data sets, hopefully, if I remember, have I? Yeah. Let's have a different line. Now, so this is designed to help with launch, high launch. It's designed to do that. The sole thickness is massive. Well, not massive, but it's, yeah, rather nice. Face technology in there, low further back, CG, trying to get everything up in the air. So this, within reason, being 29 degrees and my 6-iron MP20 being 30, it's 1 degree difference. So it shouldn't really see much difference whatsoever, but we might see a bit of a difference in flight. So let's go hit another load of shots. Oh, I'm gonna get tired doing this. Okay, another bunch whacked. So let's go to the PC now to see what the difference is between this and then the 6-iron of my MP20 to see if there's any benefit going to a fatter head. Back again to the PC to have a look at the last set of shots. So we're not going to go to the 7-iron when it comes to the 221 MP20, but we'll recap on the 6 from the 221 MP20, and then we'll go to the JPX to see what the differences are. So very quickly, when it comes to recapping on the 6-iron of the MP20, you had 110.1 ball speed, launching 16.7, total spin is 5.2, going up 25 yards in the air and descending at 41.7. Carry 155. Right, let's flick over to the JPX 923 hot metal high launch. Yeah. Ball speed 111.2, so we've gained 1.1 miles an hour. Springy faces, but launching at 18.4. So remember, when it comes to high launch, the CG of the golf club is lower and further back. It is there to do one thing, to encourage launch. You've got a total spin of 6.2 rather than 5.2, so actually it spun it more, interestingly. And we got peak height at 29 and descent angles at 45.4 at 154 carry. Now 154 carry, 155 carry when it comes to the 6-iron within 1 yard. It's exactly the same, but we're gaining so much more height and we're gaining so much more descent angle, well, effectively control into a green. If you look at the ball screen and the club screen from the compare side, you can see the distinct difference. The propel is going up very much so higher. Landing within a yard, exactly the same as the 6-iron. We got 1 mile an hour more ball speed, more importantly a little bit more launch and a little bit more spin, which gives you that extra peak height and also that extra help on the way down for control. So if you imagine that this JPX 923 hot metal high launch 7-iron at 45.4, you could quite easily then go to a 6-iron, and that will drop it down a little bit, but no problem. But you couldn't then go to a 5-iron. So because that 45.4 degrees would then go to about 43, 42, and then going to a 5-iron, even though you're going to do the gapping, sort of like the 6-iron with the JPX would then go something like the 166 or so mark, 165, 166. You get the right gap. You'd be then going to a 5-iron in it, and then you might get the right gapping, but you're definitely not going to have enough peak height and descent angle, even with a high launch. So, look at the speeds quickly. There you go. The difference between the 6-iron, 7-iron is 0.2 of a mile an hour. The difference in dynamic loft between 24.4 and 25.6. The high launch has got 31 degrees. The 6-iron's got 60 degrees, yeah, 30 degrees, 1 degree of loft difference, so within 0.2, and everything else is basically exactly the same. So a strike is within reason, bang on it. So nothing to do with anything else other than the fact that the technology of the head is working. But you can see they're going to a 6-iron in the JPX 923 hot metal high launch is fine. You go to a 5-iron and it now will not work. So what you need is you need something else into the mix. So we've got bonus round time of where I've got something else here that's hopefully going to try and get some of that much needed height back when we go to a JPX 923 hot metal high launch 5-iron. Doesn't work. Let's see if we can go to another idea to get some of that peak height and descent angle back. So bonus round. So you can see, actually going to a 7-iron JPX 923 hot metal high launch, or any other manufacturer that makes things like that have the same effect, would actually make a distinct difference to your peak heights and your descent angles, give you much more control going into the green the other end. So bonus round time, I've got in my hand here a JPX Fly High 5. So we're going to hit a few shots with this, and then we're going to look at the gapping differences and stuff like that. And also, this is going to go further, but this is a hybrid head. It's got lower, further back CG and all that malarkey. So it will probably go a bit faster because the shaft length between this and the 7-iron that I just tested, as you can see, is a wee bit bigger. So you might have to go a little bit, but then it might be the same with everything. So right, let's go hit a load with this and then go back to the PC to see what difference the bonus round has. Right, there's a load for the bonus round. So let's go back to the PC now. Let's see how all they compare to see if going to something like this, like a hybrid but in an iron idea, can get that flight back up and get some control going into a green. Final time back at the PC now. Let's go have a look at the bonus round, such to see how the Fly High got on. So we've got the 923 7-irons data. Obviously, a recap on that one's 111.2, launch in 18.4, total spin of 6.2, peaking up 29 yards in the air, and 45.4 degrees descent angle, which will work absolutely fine. And then you could do that in the 6-iron that would then go 165 or so. The descent angle would come down, the peak height would come down slightly, but you couldn't go to the 5. So we're going to need something that goes around about the 177, 178 yard mark, but gains some of that height back, because the 5-iron and the JPX would be going back into the 30 degrees descent angles by the 5-iron, and it won't work. So let's go to the Fly High and see what happens. So ball speed 120.5, launching 14.6, spinning at 4.6, going at 27 yards in the air, and 41.2 degrees descent angle. So we are, even with the Fly High, we're getting to the point where it is over 40 degrees, and it's borderline, but it's functional. Any more than this, and it's going 177 when it comes to the average carry, which is bang on exactly what you need for gapping. But anything more than this, you couldn't go to JPX Fly High 4. You would have to go to a full-on hybrid to try and get some of that extra height. But this is the whole idea of it. So if you then go to the final ball compare and club compare, which I've got all of them on there so you can see you've got gapping of the 144 carry of the 34 degree blade. Then you go into a 155, 154 from the point of view of the 6-iron blade against 7-iron JPX. For functionality, you'd go straight away to the 7-iron JPX, so you'd have two 7-irons. You can go to something like the 6-iron in the JPX high launch to get you 166 yards or so carry for your gapping, but then you'd have to then go to the 5 JPX Fly High to give you some of that extra height back. But then that would also then give you gapping of 177 yards, 166, 155, 144, that idea. It's working quite well when it comes to gapping. As I said, anything more than that and you'd have to go into full-on hybrid to try and grab some of that back. If you go quickly look at the head data though on the compare, you can see the JPX Fly High had a bit more speed to it, will do, because there's probably that much of shaft length added. It's not full-on hybrid, it's possibly the difference between what a hybrid would be is slightly shorter than a hybrid, so any extra you'd have to go to a full hybrid to get more of it. Dynamic loft 22.5, so you can see obviously loft's coming off, but you're gaining the head speed, you're gaining the ball speed. You've still got good launch, and it's just making the difference to make that 5 functional. Again, you'd have to go to a hybrid after that, but you've nearly got to 180 yards carry and being functional by utilizing different head designs. So when it comes to people who want a perfect set of golf clubs. Yes, you can if you want to go into something like a player's cavity or even a blade when it comes to the lower end of the bag. The pitching wedge is up to a 7-iron maybe, depending on your speed. The slower you are, the earlier the transition will have to be, and possibly the more aggressive in the jumps that you have to be to make sure you get the advantages of the launch. When it comes to the faster swingers, as you go the faster swingers, you can taper down a little bit the stages. You don't have to jump so aggressively. You could go into a blade, to a player's distance iron, to then a game improvement iron at the very end to try and get that launch. But remember, when it comes to things like the fly high and hybrids, they have got roll and bulge on the face, and they will give you extra forgiveness just from that alone. So yeah, it's an interesting way to do things to make sure that you can get a set of golf clubs when you're buying. Remember guys, these things are expensive. You've got to make sure that when you buy something, you're buying something with a purpose. You're buying something because it works. If it doesn't work, you're spending all this money and there's no point. You might as well keep your old set. So make sure you know what you need. Get custom fit properly with your lessons that you're having with your pro or whatever it be. Really get down to the nitty gritty as to work out exactly what you need, what head types you need, what you can and cannot get away with, what your speeds are, etc., and when that transition needs to happen, so you can get that perfect set of golf clubs made for you. Because if you're going to spend money, let's make sure you spend it wisely and spend it once. So hope you liked the video. If you did, little thumbs up down there. Go on, YouTube likes it, so do I. Next to it is a little red button. It's a subscribe button. It's free. Go on, I like that also. Next to it, bell icon. Go on, get the bell on. That's a notification bell. That'll let you know next time I upload another video, which won't be long at all. So I hope you're well, and we'll see you soon.